Time to provide a hands-on review of the Canon 80D. Unlike my other polished videos, or semi-polished, I'm going to keep this relatively informal. The sun's starting to set and clouds are moving in, and I have my Canon 80D right here. Now, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll know that I have also reviewed the Canon 70D along with a host of other cameras in the Sony line, the Sony a6000, the a5100, and I currently shoot with some Nikon equipment, which I've enjoyed and shot with that for years. I've been waiting to get my hands on the 80D, and I notice when I say that fast, it sounds like ADD, but attention deficit disorder. But this is the number 80, letter D. So I have a list of notes right here. To begin with, it does have Wi-Fi built into it. It also has NFC connectivity, which is kind of interesting. That's the near field communication. The screen on this articulates, which is great, so you can do self-composition. It'll shoot 1080p. It'll shoot that at 30 frames a second and 60, and it also does 24. One notable though is that at 60 frames, it will shoot that, but it will only shoot it at MP4, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Obviously, it does have touchscreen on the back, if you're not aware of that, which is cool. Face detection focusing, which is kind of interesting. The idea there is that it will lock onto a face. Sony has this built in with their cameras as well. It also has relatively high resolution at 24 megapixels, which I believe that's one of the highest in Canon's crop sensor line, I believe. Could be wrong on that one, but it is a high number. It'll also shoot up to 25,600 ISO. I've never had the need to go up that high, but it does have the ability to go up there. It also has 45 cross-focus points. Now that's a big upgrade compared to the 70D. It will shoot at 1/8,000th of a second as far as the shutter speed goes. I've never had the need to crank anything up that high, maybe 1/4000th. It will also shoot at 7 frames a second. Battery life shoots, they're saying 960 shots for a full battery. So I think that's relatively good. It also has an external microphone port and an external headphone port. It's also environmentally sealed, which I like. On my Nikon D7000, I've made good use of that. It also has built-in time-lapse recording, which is a welcomed addition. It's the APS-C sensor, so it is a crop sensor. I don't have a problem with crop sensors at all. I know some people talk about the full versus crop, but you know, I like the additional reach, and I think in this day and age, it's less of a difference in my opinion. Now, there is no image stabilization built into the body, so you have to rely on image stabilization with the lenses that you get. It has the Digic 6 processor, which is an upgrade to, I believe the 5 was in the 70. And what else do we have here? No GPS in it. That doesn't really concern me, because if it did have GPS, I would not enable that anyway. That's just my preference. It has the dual pixel autofocus, which is what makes the video capabilities and autofocus just that much smoother. Now, keep in mind as well, I'm going to use the kit lens. I'm not going to put on the 70-200. Now, you can buy the body by itself, but in this case, and perhaps others will do this, I got this as a kit. Now, this lens on this kit is the 18-55. With all that said, let's go ahead and put this thing to the test, and I'm going to start off, we're going to shoot some photos, we'll do some video, and we'll do a little post-processing. We'll see what these images look like, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on it. So let's get going and make this happen. I'm at a nearby retention pond with some birds out there, and as you can see, the clouds are moving in, and we should be able to grab some photos and some video out here. One thing I do like is the articulating screen, and the feel of this camera is nice. You know, it doesn't feel too light. It is just a plastic polycarbonate type body with some, this might be kind of some rubberized grip on the front and where your thumb lays here on the back. But it's got a good feel to it, keeping in mind that I predominantly come from the Nikon world. So for me, it is a little different. One thing about this articulating screen that I like is you can leave it off to the side, you can turn it to the front for any type of self-composition you might want to do. You can also go with the live view, and live view, push on here, and you'll see how it comes up, and then I can touchscreen to focus. So it makes it really nice, and I don't know how well we can see this on video, but it does track really well, and it seems to track to the full frame almost. So that's nice. You can see how it just bounces around. A subtle loss of where it was at, but there it is. So that's actually really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this off, but I can articulate this back and flip it to the back just like this. Now, the screen is, you know, it's locked in facing backwards, which is nice. So when you take a typical photo, you can have it set to display just like that. And if you want to play back, you can take a look. I also like the fact that you can pinch and zoom, kind of get all the kind of standard sort of touch features that you might get. So it is kind of nice, and it's responsive. So it seems to work really well, and I'm happy with this so far. Something else I'm really noticing and really liking about this camera is just how fast the autofocus is on it. It really is a pleasure to work with and to see just how responsive it is. I'm just amazed about when I go to pull focus, either front or back, again, just how quick it is, and also the tracking behind it. Now, I've used the Sony a6000, and the autofocus tracking on that is awesome as well. But this camera right here, coming off the D lineup for Canon, it really is just fast and responsive and just a lot of fun to use. I'm going to try the live view and see just how well the touchscreen is with locking focus. Time to test the video capabilities of this camera. Right in front of me, I have some weeds, and these weeds, they're relatively tall, but they're probably no more than 5 feet in front of me. Then we have the pond, and straight across the way, about 100 meters or so, is another tree line. So I'm gonna focus on these weeds that are right in front of me, then I'm gonna pull focus to the tree line behind, and then we're gonna pull it back and kind of go back and forth and see just how well this captures it. So let's go ahead and step into it, which I'm going to go ahead and start the recording right now. Now we're focused on the front, which are the weeds right to us. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull focus to the back. I'm going to pull it back to the front. We're going to send it back again. Back to the front, and back again. We can tap focus to any place we like, so it's just, it works really, really well. We have some good lighting right now as the sun has kind of broken through some of the clouds, and as mentioned, it is starting to set, so the sun is facing me right now. But one thing I do want to mention is the sharpness, or lack of sharpness with these images. I don't think that it's that bad. Now, I've read some other reports saying that the images aren't quite as tack sharp as what some might like to see. But I think it's personal preference, and I also think that in post-processing you can do a lot to sharpen an image. So the sharpness of this image I'm not seeing to be of any grave type concern. And actually, I'm happy with this camera overall, more so than what I would have thought. This camera does a great job in taking up close and personal shots as well. It's getting darker now, so I think this is a good time to test out the ISO, and let's see how this camera does in relatively low light. So overall, I don't think that's too bad. I think the noise is relatively low and very manageable. Well, I enjoyed shooting with this camera, and that's coming from a Nikon person. I think Canon did a great job with this. I really liked the way they integrated the video with a solid DSLR. This camera is fully capable of taking stills, and then they've done a great job with adding the video capabilities. Similar to the 70D, except I think this has even more improvements, obviously, on it, and I think it shows. I really like the touchscreen sensitivity, and I like its ability to pull focus. I think they did a great job with it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions as well. Let me know if you currently own this 80D, and maybe you have the 70D and you're thinking about upgrading, or maybe you're a Nikon person thinking about going to Canon. I got all kinds of bugs flying around here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. It's called The Real World. More often than not, I post videos about photography and technology, but you never know. Sometimes I'll post videos about automobile maintenance and home ownership. That's what The Real World's about. So until the next video, take care of yourself and be safe.